Hello friends, welcome to my channel. I'm Meg and about a month ago I learnt to crochet and I just thought it would be so fun if I kind of showed you everything I made in my first month of crochet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you every project that I made, rate them, kind of tell you any details. All of the patterns I used were completely free tutorials or written patterns, which just makes it so helpful and beginner friendly. So I will definitely share all of them with you. Towards the end, I am going to show you all of my favourite crochet tools so far, and I'm also going to show you what I'm going to be working on next. So let's jump straight into it, and if you watched my last video on YouTube, you will see that that was when I learned to crochet. So me and my mum and my family went away for the weekend and I thought it was the perfect time to kind of start learning. And my mum helped me massively to learn, but what really helped was this YouTube video that showed me how to make a granny square, and it was completely beginner friendly. Like, I'd never picked up a crochet hook before and it was so helpful, so well explained. And so the first project I ever made was this crochet book cover, and I absolutely love it. I think it is just so cute and I love being able to look back at my first ever crochet project and see how I did and see my improvements. So I didn't actually follow a pattern for this. I literally just followed that YouTube video I just spoke about that showed you how to make a granny square. But this was super simple. All I had to make was one big granny square. So you can imagine the bottom is one of the corners, and then all I've done is fold in 3 of the corners, sew down here, and it's kind of created like an envelope, as you can see. And then all I did to kind of finish it off was add a little button. I have seen some people kind of add like a chain and then use it as a tie. But yeah, I just think this is super cute. This is bigger than your average book cover because at the time I was reading Onyx Storm, which is just a massive book. I have since finished this, but I am keeping this in my book cover because I just think, why not? And as you can see, it just fits perfectly, protects my books, which I love. But what I think is really good about this is it's such a beginner friendly project. You literally can learn and still make something out of your first ever learning session, which is something that kind of put me off at first. I didn't want to be sat there making things that weren't useful to me or didn't bring me joy. So to have proof of my first ever So to have proof of my first ever crochet project is really lovely to me. And yeah, I will say that obviously it being my first project, there are some mistakes. There are areas where my stitching is really loose and areas where my tension got a lot tighter, because I think that's one of the things I really struggled with when I first picked up a crochet hook, was working out how to hold the yarn. My tension kind of varied between too loose and too tight. But yeah, I think that's just a practice thing, if I'm honest. A month in and my tension is pretty consistent. So yeah, all I can say for that is keep practicing. So that was my first ever crochet project, a crochet book cover, and I think I will rate it a 6 out of 10. I was really proud of it at first, obviously, but I have improved since then. I do really love the yarn and all of the colour changing colours. But if I'm honest, because it only fits this bigger book size, I don't know if I will use it that often. I think I will just use it to keep Onyx Storm in as a little memory. But yeah, that was a really fun first project. Coffee break! So then the second ever project I did was this bandana, and I literally just followed a YouTube tutorial for this. It was this tutorial specifically, and I found it really easy. I didn't want to learn a new stitch super quickly, so this is still a granny style stitch. And you kind of make it up in this triangle pattern, which was super fun. And then add these chains on the side, which are your ties. I made this using an acrylic yarn that I had from a long time ago. So I do think it is a little bit thick for its purpose. I think now I've learnt I would have definitely made this in a cotton yarn just for it to be more floaty, because I feel like I wanted to wear this on my summer holiday but it was making my head really hot. But this worked up in about 2 hours, and for my first ever crochet project that was super quick. I haven't actually weaved in that last end here. I never got around to it, and I can see why people say that weaving in their ends is their least favourite part of crochet, because same. But I will get round to that. And yeah, I do really like this project. I was really proud of it at the time. I love the butter yellow colour. I feel like butter yellow is the colour of the season, and I can see why it is so gorgeous. It was a relatively small project, so definitely something I literally just sat on the sofa and did while I was watching TV. So I think I will rate this a 4 out of 10. I do really like it, and I can see how my stitches improved compared to my first ever project. I just think I used the wrong type of yarn, and it's super thick and I can't see myself wearing it that often. But yeah, it was a really good practice. The tutorial itself was really good. There was nothing wrong with that. I actually might remake this for my upcoming honeymoon, but use a cotton yarn and like kind of change colours so it's all stripy. But yeah, let me know what you think of this project. I do really like it. I think I just need to remake it. And then my third project, which followed on quickly after the second, was this crochet headband. Now this was a totally new type of stitch for me, and I had no idea what type of stitch it was at the time, but I believe it is like a mesh stitch because it's quite holy, if you can see. And again, I literally just followed this crochet tutorial, and it was a really good tutorial. This worked up in about an hour and a half. The only thing I would change about this, because I love the colours, I love how it colour changes, is I used a chunky acrylic yarn, and the same as like project number 2, it is very thick, like almost quite heavy, not breathable. So if I wanted to wear this on holiday, which I feel like this is the perfect holiday accessory, it is quite thick. I will say, because it's like a thinner headband, it doesn't make me feel too hot, which is really good. And I do think I will still wear this just because I love like that rainbow gradient. And yeah, I think this was a really fun crochet project to pick up as a beginner. The tutorial was really helpful, and I think I would give this a 6 out of 10. I do think I'll wear this. I like the colours, but I would definitely like to remake it again in cotton, because cotton is just so much more breathable and almost a little bit thinner. At this point, I was really enjoying crochet, and I kept seeing everyone use t-shirt yarn. And t-shirt yarn, if you don't know, is just a really like chunky, thick yarn that's made out of like t-shirt material. You can kind of see on my ends here. Yeah, and it works up really quickly. And I picked up some t-shirt yarn, specifically this brand, and I really enjoyed it. The quality was really good, and I have loads of it left. And I made a Kindle case. Now this isn't even my Kindle, it's my mum's, but she lends me it because she doesn't read that much anymore. And yeah, I just wanted a case for it, and I thought it would be something that works up quite easily and quickly, and it was, to be fair. This literally just used single crochet stitches all in rounds. So you kind of started with the base here and then worked round and round and round until you got to your desired like size. I think I followed a TikTok video for this, and they actually made it as a laptop sleeve, but I didn't want to make it that big, so it was really easy to adjust it to size. And yeah, this is still something I use every day. Obviously I keep my Kindle in it. I first learned to kind of change colours with this project, so I started with pink and red, and then I changed to mint and pink, and I just changed colours throughout the project, which I love. If you follow me on any of my social media platforms, you will know I love colour. So learning to change colours throughout a project was super fun. I did leave all of my ends out for this project because, to be honest, I thought it looked quite good. I don't know what you think. You'll have to let me know, should I weave these ends in? But I think it looks like little tassels and it just looks a little bit funky. me. The only thing I will say about t-shirt yarn, and that I really struggled with, especially as a beginner, is you have to use a really big hook size. So I think I used an 8 or 10 millimeter hook, and you really do have to put in a lot more like wrist movement. And honestly, it hurt my wrists after a while. I think it is one of those yarns that do take a lot more strength, but it does work up really quickly and I really like the effect. So I think I would give this project a 7.5 out of 10. I really like it. It worked up quickly. I love the colours. The tutorial was easy to follow. The only downside to it, I would say, is that t-shirt yarn can be very heavy. And honestly, this makes my Kindle like at least double the weight of what it normally is. So I don't know if I would necessarily use this case for travelling around, but around the house I use it all the time, and yeah, I really love this project. And the next piece, this might be my favourite project ever. So this is a crochet bag, and honestly I still look at this and I cannot believe I made this bag. It has a clasp, so this is a clasp I just got on Amazon. And so it opens like this, and it's actually a really big bag inside. Again, I used the t-shirt yarn for this, and I kind of followed the same colour scheme as my Kindle case, and don't they match so beautifully? I followed this YouTube tutorial, but this is just to make the clutch bag, like the base itself. However, once I made it, I realised I probably wouldn't get that much use of it as a clutch bag. It's quite heavy, as I said, t-shirt yarn is. So I added a handle, and it is honestly the perfect shoulder bag. I adore this. I have used it probably 4 or 5 times since making it. I actually have one of the clasps here, so it is literally just a metal clasp that opens and closes. And for a little surprise, I actually have a full video coming soon of me making this bag, and I'm really excited to share that with you. I talked through following the tutorial. It was a free YouTube tutorial, and I spoke about any adjustments I made and anything I found hard. And yeah, I am really in love with this project. So for my 5th ever project, I am going to rate this a 9 out of 10. I honestly can't see what I would change that much about it. I'm really happy with it. I think this is a bag that I will use for a long time, and it matches a lot of my outfits because I am a colourful girly. So yeah, you'll have to let me know what you think of this crochet bag. But yeah, it's definitely a 9 out of 10 project for me. So my 6th ever creation was another bag. I was really loving making crochet like wearables, accessories, things that I could actually style day to day. Now this bag was honestly hard. I followed this free YouTube tutorial, and while it was very in-depth, the stitch that I used was like nothing I'd ever used before. I believe this is called a thermal stitch, and unlike any other crochet stitches, it hardly has any like stretch. It's not got holes in it. It's actually like a very good stitch for certain projects. It does work up a lot slower. Like this took me a long time. So to make this bag, I had to make this front panel, this back panel, the like strap all the way round, sew it together and then do the ruffles. And it took a long time. Like I would estimate this took me about 6 to 7 hours of making. And the other thing is, because it was my first time ever doing thermal stitch, this was the first ever side that I did. And you can't tell as much because I added this ruffle edging, but I massively like increased here, decreased my stitches here and went out again. And I don't know why, I must have got it wrong, but by the end of it I was like, I am not frogging all of that. That took me a few hours. So yeah, the first panel is definitely imperfect. However, when you turn it to the other side, this was my second panel. And my second panel was so straight, and I really liked it. And honestly, when the bag was put together and I added this like ruffle detail, you can't really tell. So I'm not mad about it at all. I do think this is a gorgeous little bag. It fits over the shoulder. I did like a slightly longer strap, and I love this ruffle detail. The ruffle detail, I used this white yarn with like a sparkle in. I don't know if you can quite see on camera. So for this project, I would probably give it a 7.5 out of 10. It was a long project. It was a lot of hard work learning this new stitch, but the final product is something that I will use. I think to make it more usable, I need to add like a little clasp on the inside here, just because at the minute it's literally just an open bag and things can fall out. I am really happy with this bag. It does kind of give me like kids bag vibes, but look at my house, like I just love colour, and I do think it matches a lot of my outfits. Like I would wear it with this outfit right now. Yeah, you'll have to let me know what you think of this one. So this is the second to last project that I have done in my first month of crochet, and it was my first time doing a piece of clothing. I honestly was so excited. I am going on my honeymoon in 2 and a bit weeks, and I wanted some like beach wear that I could like wear over my bikini or going for a little walk, and this is just a gorgeous crochet shrug that I made. This was my first time trying a cotton yarn, and I've got to say I have fallen in love with cotton yarn. This whole trolley now is all of my cotton yarns. I've got some from Paintbox, and I'm just trying out the yarn and colours ones as well, and honestly I really like them. So for this, I used a Paintbox cotton yarn in DK. I doubled up on strands, so I used like 2 balls at a time, just because DK felt a little bit thin. This is the colour, I actually have 1 ball left, and this is the colour Banana Cream. And if I'm honest, I wanted it to be a little bit more yellow, and when it came, it was more like creamy. But I do think it is like a very versatile piece. Like I could layer this on top of most colours and it looked really pretty. I actually followed this tutorial, and this is one of my favourite crochet creators at the minute. I love all of her videos. I've actually just bought some of her patterns because I really want to make her top and skirt that she's got specifically. But she had a free crochet tutorial on this, and it is a mesh stitch all the way round. And what I really liked about this project is you work it up in kind of one piece, if that makes sense. There isn't any sewing together. So you work up this panel here, then you miss out the neckline. I don't know if I'm explaining this very well. Work up the back, and then you crochet the sleeves directly onto it. And I know this won't be everyone's cup of tea, because when it's on, it does obviously finish above the chest. That is just how I wanted to style it, like with a bikini. But the tutorial is actually really like editable and easy, so you could actually make this a lot longer or shorter or however you like it. I actually improvised on some of it, so I added a gorgeous like scallop edge all along the sleeves. So I used it on both of the sleeves, and then I added this scallop edge all along the bottom as well. I have already worn this out, and I will be taking it on my holiday. I think that doubling up on the DK weight yarn though made it slightly too thick. And I also think that I am not the biggest fan of the mesh stitch for clothing. It just feels like too holey. When I put my arm through, my fingers like go through the holes, and it's like a bit of a faff to get on. But yeah, I do think it is like the summer vibes that I wanted, and the tutorial was really good. I highly recommend. And I think I would rate this a 7 out of 10. I do really like it. I will get a lot of wear out of it. There are things I would change about it. I probably would make it a little bit longer, and I probably would do a slightly different weight cotton. But yeah, I think it's a really cute piece. So for the last thing is this top, which I really love. But unfortunately, I don't have a pattern for this. I literally eyeballed it and just kind of improvised, and this is what came out. All I started with was panels, like square panels of triple crochets, and I changed colours for stitches every single time. And by the end, I had these 2 square panels like this, front and back. and they weren't big enough to like go all the way around. So what I did next, let me take it off the hanger. So what I did next was crochet these smaller side panels, and these are just like smaller squares, but I only went up to the blue stripe. I did that on both ends and then I stitched them together. I then added these ties on top. I just chain stitched these straps and then you can tie them together and fully adjust them. And I tried it on like that, and to be honest, I didn't love like the finish. So for the bottom of it, I actually did like this little ruffle border in the pink colour, and it made it the cutest little summer top. I am really, really happy with this. I do see where I need to improve. There are areas like my sewing together is quite like chunky, that you can really see that seam, and looking back I probably should have made this in like one piece and one round, and that would have been a lot easier. I'm really, really happy with the ruffle border. I love the colours. I feel like that is the perfect summer vibes. For my 8th ever crochet project, I've got to say that I am really impressed with myself. I actually used a cotton DK. So these are the cotton paint box yarns. Absolutely love like the thickness of this. It is super, super soft, really like flowy and breathable, and yeah, I really can't wait to wear this. I actually think it would look really cute with this skirt, or just with like a pair of shorts or jeans. Honestly, I highly recommend that you just like try make something from scratch without following a pattern. It was really fun, really challenged me, but also like made me kind of problem solve, and it's something I can look back on and say I like fully made this. We've just got a little visitor to end the video. This is Walter. He is my 3-year-old cock spaniel, and he's just so cuddly and sleepy, ain't he, Bubby? But yeah, that is everything I have made in my first month of learning to crochet, and I have obviously put a lot of time into this. I crochet most evenings and weekends, but it has really, really helped my mental health. I spoke about in my last video kind of struggling with doom scrolling and anxiety, and now in the evenings, instead of picking up my phone, I am going to pick up my crochet hook and yarn, and I just get so excited to do that. I highly recommend like a craft or something to kind of take your mind off life. I think, yeah. So while Walter is sleeping on my lap, I thought I would end the video by going through my favourite crochet supplies, and kind of showing you what I'm using, what I'm liking. One of my first purchases, and arguably the most expensive purchase, was this set of crochet hooks. Now this is the Knit Pro set of crochet hooks. They're really ergonomic, I find them really comfortable, and in this set you get all the way from size 2mm to the 12mm hook. So I actually used the 12mm hook for some of the t-shirt yarn projects that I did, and I honestly can't complain. I think this whole set, including the carry case, was about £42, and yeah, it's something that I hopefully will never have to replace. It's really handy to like take with me because I always have all of my crochet hooks with me. And yeah, I really like these crochet hooks so far. I'm trying not to move Walter while I grab all of the supplies to show you. The next thing that I would highly recommend buying is a set of stitch markers. So in here I just have like stitch markers of every single colour, and I love that. And it came with this test tube of all my darning needles, and I think this set was like £3 something on Amazon. I honestly can't complain. I'm sure in the future I might get some prettier like stitch markers with little charms, but for now these are really helpful. As a beginner, I highly recommend stitch markers. I just kind of put them at the start and end of each row so I can remember where I've started and finished. So yeah, just a cheap set of stitch markers and darning needles is all you need. You really do not need to splurge on this purchase. And then the last thing I will kind of say is, when you're learning, like, use acrylic yarn, use whatever yarn you already have. You can get super cheap like 100-gram balls of yarn for like £1, £1.99 at local shops. But I will say that I have discovered I love working with cotton yarn. So this is all cotton yarn. Bottom two tiers are the Aran yarn and the top is my DK yarn. And I just find that cotton yarn is super soft. It is a little bit hard to work with, as I find some brands like have a splitting problem, although I haven't had that so far with the paint box yarns. And I also just think that cotton yarn just feels a little bit more luxe. I feel like everything I've made with the cotton yarn just feels like it'll wash nicely and last longer. I do have some like acrylic and wool mixes that I'm excited to try, and absolutely have nothing wrong with acrylic yarn either. I have a lot of acrylic yarn that I want to use, and like gorgeous colour changing ones, but at the minute I'm just really enjoying using the cotton yarn. If you want to know which yarns I've been using specifically, I have been using the paint box yarn. This is the cotton DK, and the yarn and colours Epic, which is in the Aran size. So this is a little bit thicker than DK, and so far I'm really liking them. And just quickly before I go, I'm just going to give you a little sneak peek of what I'm making next. So I am in love with Realm Designs. If you don't follow Realm Designs and you like crochet, you need to follow them. My mum has made me like 3 crochet patterns from Realm Designs in the past. She's made me this flower waistcoat and this like bomber jacket, and I love everything. So I am now making one of the Realm Designs cardigans. I am using this pattern which says it's beginner friendly. I'm going to make it in the short sleeve version, and I'm using this gorgeous orange and pink. I just love this colour combo. It gives me like sunset vibes, and I'm hoping to get it done in the next couple of weeks, ready for my holiday, but I only started last night. And also this is my first pattern that I am fully following from like a paper written pattern. So I'm not gonna lie, I have called my mum even during this panel like twice, just being like, is this right? Just because I want to make sure. But yeah, I feel like I'm getting the hang of written pattern. So yeah, I will keep you updated on this. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to know what you've made like as a beginner crocheter. If you have any like pattern recommendations, any tips or tricks, feel free to leave them in the comments. And thank you so much for being here and watching. I hope you liked everything. Let me know, what is your favourite thing that I made? I will be back soon with another video, but in the meantime, please remember to like and subscribe and leave me a little comment, and I will speak to you soon. Bye! Bye! Thanks for watching!